I didn't think I was going to be here saying that Intel is outperforming Nvidia this year. And it's wild. I mean, Intel has been doing such an amazing past 5 days. And on today's episode, I kind of want to cover so much impacting the semiconductor news. We're going to look at Intel, why the stock is up nearly 25% in the past 5 days. We're going to take a closer look at Nvidia, some bearish and bullish takes that analysts are looking into, some bearish stuff after Supermicro reported earnings, some recent rumors impacting Nvidia and potentially new chips. And then also at the end of this episode, I'm going to save the boring stuff for last, is there are two companies I keep getting questions about on semiconductor and Micron technology. So I also want to cover those for those that want to stay tuned and watch the whole episode. But before we go any further, guys, this is going to be the best place you're going to find any semiconductor news. I promise you that. Now, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for special offer at fool.com/Jose, and check out my free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com. So let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So let's start off here with Intel. I mean, this is insane. The stock is up roughly 25% in the past 5 days, and the stock is sitting at $24. Now, obviously, if you're a long-term investor, you could say, hey, Jose, I could care less because in the past year, the stock is still down roughly 44%. But there's a lot of rumors impacting Intel right now. Nothing is set in stone with what's happening, but I just want to share my overall thoughts. So the first rumor that I keep hearing is there have been some comparisons online between Intel's 18A and TSMC's 2 nanometer processor nodes. And they are comparing the two against each other. And based on the reports online, it says that Intel is faster, but TSMC is denser and better for certain applications, right? So first, kind of comparing two types of architectures is very hard within itself, but at least it shows some positive reaction or action right now to Intel's 18A. And that's a lot of hope, a lot of like hope coming in for Intel investors, as we do know that at least for Intel, one of the biggest saving graces was eventually going to be hopefully 18A. So with rumors like this and kind of studies like this, it kind of gives hope to investors. So that's one of the reasons right now that Intel is kind of seeing a nice bullish price action in the past few days. There's other ones that I'm going to discuss. But overall, rumors like that and excitement about 18A is definitely going to be creating some nice sentiment towards the stock. Now, there's two other things, and I'm going to start with the second first because it's another one that's kind of just providing an overall bullish sentiment for Intel. And on Tuesday, Vice President J.D. Vance said that kind of the Trump administration really wants to build AI chips. More importantly, they want them built and designed here domestically in the United States. Well, luckily, we already do a portion of that. The design leaders of AI chips are here in the United States. So we already do that, but to build domestically, right, we need more manufacturing power, advanced manufacturing chips, fabs here in the United States. And the only two players that can do that are Intel and TSMC. So obviously Intel being a US-based company, you kind of get that excitement as well. So kind of just more and more positive news fueling this Intel praise. Now, I do want to say that TSMC stock has actually kind of seen a bit of the opposite reaction. In the past 5 days, the stock is down roughly 5%, sitting at $201. But again, if you are in the past year in TSMC, you could say, I could care less. I'm still up 58% on this stock, right? So in the short term, the market is definitely looking pretty weird for these two giants. But I think if we're going to build AI chips here in the United States, TSMC is going to be one of the main contributors. They already have an Arizona plant. We just need more of an advanced packaging plant from them. And that leads me to point number 3. So the third reason Intel has been up, and again, so many rumors in the past few days for the manufacturing players here in semiconductors. And I'm going to say with rumors, there's always some truth to it. It's not the full truth that we're reading, but there's always some truth to them. So there probably is some truth to Intel's 18A actually doing really good, but there might not be the complete truth that it's better than TSMC's 2 nanometer. there is probably some truth of more manufacturing happening here in domestically, and it's going to be good for Intel. But it's also true that it's going to be very bullish for TSMC as well. Now, the third thing is there are rumors, again, all these are rumors, that Intel could collaborate with TSMC to potentially spin off its foundry business into a new US-based chip making entity made pretty much by TSMC leading it, right? TSMC leading it. And the reason TSMC would lead it is because they know how to do things, right? They've shown that they are a great player in manufacture. Now, Intel would be like the money player, which they would be providing their foundry business, their plants and equipment. But this one's interesting, right? And we hear a little bit more rumors like this as well, where DigiTimes reported this, that there are three methods that United States is trying to bring more TSMC and more chip domestically in hand. First is either TSMC opening up a new advanced chip packaging facility in the United States. That actually would be really good, and I think that one's actually might happen. The second is the TSMC invest in Intel Foundry and potentially be involved in technology transfer, which is weird because why would a company want to kind of grow their competitor? And the third is TSMC would shift its US-based orders towards Intel Foundry, with this customers like Apple and other US players buying and building an Arizona plant would go to Intel instead. I don't see that happening, as TSMC is already investing a lot of stocks, a lot of money in their capital expenditure for their Arizona plant and everything else, right? So again, there's so much uncertainty right now, but all these uncertainties and all these rumors are pointing to at least maybe a stronger Intel. Now, obviously, this could just be art of the deal with the current administration, and it could just be a way for TSMC to find a way to invest more money in the United States, to build more manufacturing capabilities here in the United States, and to potentially get on the good side of the current administration to maybe reduce or have the less tariffs hit in the future, right? So there's a lot of reasons why this could be true. But again, this is all rumors. At the end of the day, I believe these rumors have some truth. TSMC is definitely going to be a winner here, but it seems like Intel might have a small shot, and there is some glimmer of hope. Personally, I wouldn't buy Intel right now. TSMC, definitely a great stock for long-term investors, but not a stock I want to buy at these levels either. Not for any bearish reasons. I just would rather spend my money in more of a higher growth stock, but I can definitely see why investors would want to buy TSMC right now. All right. So that does it with the Intel drama and the Intel rumors and Intel outperforming and Nvidia right now. I feel like I need to go brush my teeth after saying that a few times, but Nvidia right now, we can see in the past 5 days, has actually done fairly okay, up roughly 4.7%. No, I know it's not a 25% gain like Intel, but we've seen some great price movements and some great recent news for Nvidia. Now, there isn't anything too crazy that I want to explain, just some updates to the Blackwell, some rumors here and there. And NVIDIA, one of the great things is they have kind of a press release or a blog where they share a lot of great insight for anybody who wants to learn. And on February 12th, yesterday, they kind of explain how the scaling laws are affecting AI systems. So if you want to learn more about things like what is pre-training, what is post-training, what is time test scaling, and what are some of the other thoughts impacting the overall AI market right now, definitely check it out. It's probably about a 10-minute read, but you will become a smarter investor reading it. Just go to NVIDIAblogs.com, and it's how scaling laws drive smarter and more powerful AI. Now, outside of that, another great news that we have is HPE, a server maker, it announced the shipment of its first NVIDIA Grace Blackwell system. The GB200 NVL72 has been shipped with direct liquid cooling now available. So this is pretty exciting, especially after Supermicro recently reported earnings. And we did see that Supermicro mentioned that there was some delays with the Blackwell NVL72 system. So it's great to kind of see the opposite side of this with HPE showcasing that they are not seeing this kind of delays right now, and they're sending these systems out. So very, very great news there for NVIDIA. Now, some other things is we are seeing some analysts from Misoho, analyst BJ Rakesh, probably butcher that name completely, but they believe by 2027, NVIDIA can get about $259 billion in revenue, in AI revenue. That is insane. Now, I am curious, sometimes these outlets kind of don't understand where NVIDIA's fiscal year lies. So I don't know if they were talking fiscal year 2027 or calendar year of 2027. But one thing that they also mention is the analyst believes that the first half of 2025 for NVIDIA is going to be a lackluster for Blackwell ramp. So they are trimming some of their near-term quarterly expectations and reducing revenue a bit. Now, this is something that I've actually been talking or thinking about ever since Supermicro reported earnings on Tuesday. And Supermicro reported earnings on Tuesday, and if you want to watch my episode, go check that out. But Supermicro reduced their fiscal year 2025 guidance because they didn't have enough chips. More importantly, is not because they didn't have enough chips, is because there was a delay with the Blackwell platform, and that caused them to see a delay, had to reduce their revenue for these upcoming quarters. So I think there has to be some truth here. And the question is this going to somehow create some impact on NVIDIA stock before earnings, or will they maybe miss expectations or not give high enough expectations that the market is expecting? So this is the first time that I believe there might be, I'm not saying the truth, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is going to be a pocket of weakness in this NVIDIA's earnings. Now, in the long term of things, and the reason why I wouldn't sell, even though I believe there might be a pocket of weakness, some of you might be wondering, Jose, why wouldn't you sell if you think there's going to be a pocket of weakness? The reason being is I'm not sure if there's a pocket of weakness. And even if there was a pocket of weakness, it will be a short-term problem. It's not a long-term problem. The Blackwell is going to go full ramp. If there is a delay, it's going to be a-okay in the future. There's plenty of demand for the Blackwell product, right? So that's the reason I wouldn't sell. But if I saw this upcoming earnings and I see kind of maybe it missing a little bit and the stock price moving down, I actually am going to see that as a huge buying opportunity, because long-term, I believe the stock is going to do fine. But seriously, this is probably the first time when I'm worried about the company not really meeting expectations for the first time. And I'm going to do a little bit more research, but that's just where my current brain is at right now. Again, I'm not going to be bearish on the stock. Like I mentioned, I'm a long-term investor, and I believe if there is some pocket of weakness, it would be very short-term lived. But the market might not see that and might create great buying opportunities. I'm not here to time the market. I'm not here to guess how the market's going to react. So that's why I'm going to just sit down and do what I do best, do nothing. But we do get more, even another analyst here kind of projects the same thing, where NVIDIA's Supermicro, the leader in liquid cooling, saying that it has yet received allocations of GB200. This raises the questions that Blackwell shipments been further delayed since CES. And we suspect Supermicro's management has largely scrubbed Blackwell for fiscal year 2025 revenue, and obviously cautioning investors to not overlook this negative read-through for NVIDIA. I agree. Now the question is Hopper 200, is the Hopper going to do enough to be able to get strong revenues from Supermicro here? Is the B200, the B200 is still shipping. Is that one doing enough? Was it that Supermicro was just preparing instead for the NVL72 system opposed to a Blackwell 200 system? So they started to, maybe their productions was mixed between the two products and expecting more GP200 system chips. So there's so many questions here. And if it's just a Supermicro didn't know how to manage inventory correctly, and if they would have been a little bit more patient, they probably just got ahead of the curve and built too much inventory for a system that was delayed. But if they would have focused more on the B200, would they have been better off? A lot of questions. Again, my mind is racing, but there is the potential scenario, I think, this quarter for NVIDIA to see a hiccup, but I wouldn't be scared. And I'm saying that right now. Now, some other rumors is NVIDIA and MediaTek are now rumored to be developing an AI smartphone chip. PC chip is also slated for Computex 2025. Now, this is again pretty wild. NVIDIA just announced kind of that partnership with like a developer PC for AI workloads and AI workstation. There are rumors that in Computex 2025, we're gonna get the PC chip for laptops and consumers. That would be wild. But if AI is really evolving how it is, NVIDIA is trying to grab every single market here. And if the phone business is the next to really transform in the AI chip space, then I can see how MediaTek and NVIDIA can also play in that market. I feel like more MediaTek would be kind of developing their own processor and using NVIDIA's kind of IP for some graphic solutions in the phone business. So I don't think it's going to be much work for NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA will most likely just be licensing a lot of kind of like their tensor cores and their GPU cores that can be used in some of these other solutions. But pretty interesting rumors coming all over the map today. Now, the last two companies I want to take a closer look at are ones that are not that popular. So if you guys enjoyed today's episode, please appreciate it. Get the thumbs up to subscribe. If you want to stay tuned to the last two, it's probably another 4 or 5 minutes, and I would really, really appreciate it. So On Semiconductor here, this is a company that provides solutions for the automotive business. Now, unfortunately, the company recently reported earnings and the stock is down roughly 8%. Now, I am bullish on Semiconductor, and if you have watched my videos outside of me just saying I'm bullish on Semiconductor, you understand that I would say On Semiconductor was going to be dead money until the automotive market turns around. The automotive market is not going to turn around anytime soon. This is what I would consider a long time accumulation phase. Now, luckily for On Semiconductor, one thing that they are really good at is running a business during a down market. Let's kind of just look at On Semiconductor's in investors relations and just so we can see what I mean. So on February 10th, they kind of gave us their presentations. And even though this is during a downturn, full year fiscal free cash flow was $1.2 billion, a 3x increase over last year. And they spent about 54% of free cash flow through repurchase of shares. So On Semi is a company that's able to handle a really negative downturn. And when that turnaround story happens, I think On Semi is going to be very, very much a strong growth in overall stock price. But this is going to be one that I'm just going to sit and wait and accumulate a little bit over time as there's going to be plenty of opportunity. Now, Micron today did have a nice day and is sitting under 100. I did a video on Micron earlier this morning. Not many people watch it, too long to watch. I believe Micron is sitting at great opportunities. Obviously, growth in HBM. The risk is they need to continue to innovate. But most recently, Micron had a conference event and they kind of talked that they aren't making any changes to their Q2 guidance, but they are saying that for quarter or for their upcoming for Q3 guidance, they are seeing revenue growth, but they are expecting weaker margins. And the weakened margins are creating some volatility, some uncertainty on the stock. If I was an investor, I really wouldn't be worried. It seems like it's more the consumer market is picking back up and the consumer market will be a bigger portion of the overall revenue. The consumer market tends to be a little bit less margin accredited. So if you start to get more revenue in that segment, you're going to start to see a small dilution in margins. And that's what's happening. But overall, you want to see this company make more revenue. And even if margins take a small hit, you're still going to be benefiting in growth in earnings per share. So Micron, definitely looking attractive at below $100. So my overall thoughts on those two, I know I've been getting a lot of questions. Thank you for watching and see you all next time.